Respected Dean, Office Bearers of Tanjore Medical College Alumni Association, the President, Vice President, Secretary, Joint Secretary, Professor Indraraj, the Project Director, my beloved teacher, former deans and my dear teachers, my dear colleagues, Selvam, Idris, my brothers, Team Pyromag. I just recollect 2020 November. That was the time when COVID was declining, but the solid waste generated out of inpatients for COVID care increased manifold. The disposables, both from the PPE and the other items, as well as the inpatients, the footfall of patient attenders who had come into the hospital for COVID care increased manifold, and that was the time the waste generated was accumulating like a big hillock. So to clear that, as Dean at that period, we found it really challenging. I will be failing in my duty if I do not recollect our former district collector, Mr. Govind Rao, who was initially responsible for this project coming up. After cleaning the waste at RMH, we worked almost a week. The entire team, our outsourced workers, in fact, they risked their lives in clearing all that. We also stood along with the team there. After that, how to find a permanent solution, that question propped up in my mind. And I contacted the chairman, Pollution Control Board at that time, late Mr. Venkatachalam, and he only put me on to Vinayak at Pyromag. I called and then got the quotation. But their area representative for that period, he was down with COVID, he could not come. So then it went on to June. But we had a meeting at Collectorate, and former district collector minuted it in the Collectorate meeting. The former commissioner of corporation, Madam Janaki, she was suggesting some other mechanism. But before we could materialize, of course, we had the complete downfall of the first wave, and we returned to students joining. We returned to normalcy. Second wave started in March, April. Then we sensed, but this again became a big problem. The main issue is, as our district collector mentioned, local body cannot handle the solid waste generated, the general waste generated by a medical institution. They cannot lift this and dump it in their general waste. So we have to find out a mechanism. This was clearly mentioned by the commissioner when we requested her for lifting this. They said, we will help you in clearing the campus, but we cannot lift the load out of your campus. You have to find a mechanism. That clear answer from an official, in fact, the entire credit for this coming up goes to that commissioner of Tanjore at that period, who said, the solution for this you have to find out. Please don't depend on local body. They can never handle it. So the responsibility lies with you. That clear answer from her, that prompted me to think, how are we going to solve it? Then I contacted Pollution Control Board. Then we contacted District Collector. We sat together and we narrowed on this machine, and Professor Ravi Kumar came in. So something conceived in the right spirit. When Professor Indraraj came up with the idea of donating an oxygen plant for the COVID patients, that was the time I suggested him, sir, many people are going to come up with oxygen plants. In fact, even Government of India is going to come up with oxygen plants. That is not what we need as of today. We have enough of oxygen. We have enough of oxygen cylinders. We have enough of oxygen concentrators. We have enough of oxygen generators. But the problem of our campus, which needs a futuristic addressal, are two. One is the solid waste disposal. Number two is the drainage. Being a 60-year-old college, the underground drainage, on one side we have connected it to the UTD connection in the commission opposite first gate, but the rest of the campus is still unattended. We also initiated activities in that regard, but I'm just fortunate enough to point out here that the Government of India, Tamil Nadu, taking up a clean hospital campaign very seriously. It has incorporated, especially for the older institutions, the STP, ETP plan for waste disposal, the liquid effluent what is the plan, what is the current status, what is the project and what is the estimate. The instructions have been given by Governor of Tamil Nadu, and I also ensured with Dr. Ravi Kumar that it is ready for Tanjavur Medical College. If it is, everything is in order, we will get even the sanctioned money for that, and it is in the pipeline. So that is a second important addressal which needs, as far as this campus is concerned. Of these two important requirements, the solid waste disposal, Alumni Association, they took the suggestion in the right spirit because it had the right person in the right place, Professor Indraraj. He could receive it with all value because he could see he could visualize the value of this project, and that is why it has come up. So I salute all office bearers of Tanjavur Medical College Alumni Association. You have really, as our district collector mentioned, this can be a role model for the rest of the state, provided Pyromac team, I'm reminding, please be very cautious of the functioning. Let not the emissions exceed the CP Central Pollution Control Board guidelines. If the emission exceeds that, it will fall under the category of incinerator, and incinerator is not to be used for waste disposal. Thank you, sir.